Test.
You're not going to allow public comment in the classroom? Okay. Then I'll see this. Let me go give this to Mr. Holt. Mark, you want to?
I don't think we're going to have to touch the lead first.
No. I don't want to cook any foods. You want the attachment?
Hi, how you doing?
Everybody's I said everybody's been giving.
It's that time of year, it gets cooler and takes a little while to reach around. So when they can speak, these people figure out later.
You know, I was thinking that same thing. I was like, thank God it's not Thursday.
I heard from everybody. I don't know what happened. They said that to me.
No pledge yet.
No.
No. Pledge during council. Okay, good evening, everybody. We are going to
call the caucus meeting, special caucus meeting of October 3rd together at 6:10 p.m. Just so everybody is aware, first we're going to have a quick caucus meeting to discuss the order of our agenda, and then immediately following that will be the special council meeting, which I believe everybody is here for, and public comment will be open during the special council meeting. So if everybody has their agendas, and I believe some copies may be on the table if anybody doesn't have them. Amended ordinance number 66, 2016 is the hunting ordinance that we had passed and a referendum petition was circulated for. As discussed in prior meetings, we are going to place another vote on this tonight. Tom, please do the first. Tony, please do the second. Once we get to that, we'll vote yes on the reading by title only, and we'll vote no on passage. And Law Director Pignatello, please correct me if I'm incorrect about what we've discussed in the past. Ordinance number 108 is the ordinance repealing section 505.11, hunting prohibited. That'll be the same as ordinance number 66. Yes on the reading, no on the passage. That'll be Tim and Jim. Then ordinance number 109, 2016 is the new ordinance for hunting with a couple changes that were also discussed in previous meetings. That will be Frank and Ed. Resolution number 56 is the resolution of encouragement and support to retain Normandy as a high school and Hillside as a middle school. Mayor Delaquila, you had a couple suggestions on that. Would you mind?
Your description of the resolution incorporated the suggestions that I made that we should, I believe, amend the resolution to indicate that our support is for Hillside to remain as a middle school, and therefore amending to insert the word middle. And I did have another suggestion about some of the preamble language as well, the one word, rather than disproportionate, I believe it was, to say relatively. And that's pretty much it.
I'm okay with both of those. Does anybody have any questions about those? Okay. Since there is a little bit of time before the school board is going to make their decision, we typically try to give as much time as possible for the public to comment on these things. My suggestion would be let's let this read for one time tonight and then next week pass this. Does anybody have any problems with that? So if everybody's good with that, we will remove the emergency clause. Jim, do the first on that, please. Tim, do the second. And the intention is to pass it next week so we can present it to the school board. That is it for the agenda. Does anybody on the dais, mayor, administration, or council have anything to add to this? Okay. All right, then we're going to proceed with our regular council meeting. I will make a motion to adjourn the special council meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, please call the roll.
Mayor Delaquila.
Here.
Director of Law Pignatello.
here.
Councilman at Large Bicker.
Here.
Councilman at Large Krynick.
Here.
Councilman at Large Traffus.
Here.
Ward 1 Councilman Biassiata. Ward 2 Councilman Frondor.
Here.
Ward 3 Councilman Kukrow.
Here.
Ward 4 Councilman Petro.
Here.
Director of Public Service and Properties Levis.
Here.
Building Commissioner Morrow.
Okay, before we get this started, we have a rather large crowd today, many of you who may or may not have been here in the past. So I just want to state something before we move forward. I understand that the issues in front of us today can be very emotional to a lot of people, regardless of what side of the aisle you may be on. A little bit of background. Over the past number of years, many of our residents have been asking the mayor and council to do something to reduce the population of deer. The concerns include, but are not limited to, safety while driving, health concerns for pets and children due to ticks and deer droppings in the yard, concerns about plants and flowers being destroyed, and safety from deer charging at people, among a number of other things. At the last primary election this year, Seven Hills, along with a number of neighboring communities, placed an advisory election on the ballot, asking residents if they wanted to allow for bow hunting of deer in Seven Hills and the other respective communities. The ballot language did not say anything about acreage or other requirements. It simply asked if the city should allow for bow hunting. An overwhelming majority of our residents told the city that they want us to allow bow hunting. 3,030 people voted yes, and 1,588 people voted no, which equates to a 66% majority of voters, and we believe that that is a mandate. The City Council swiftly took action and formed an ad hoc committee to study the proposed bow hunting ordinance that came from the group of mayors of the other communities that placed an advisory election on the ballot. Some suggestions were made and accepted to help tailor the legislation to be effective and safe in Seven Hills. Once this legislation was passed by council and signed by the mayor, a group of residents and non-residents began circulating a referendum petition. This is definitely allowed in our charter. A postcard was anonymously mailed to our residents implying that the city did not do anything to treat the deer overpopulation. Everyone on this dais received many phone calls and emails from residents telling us that they felt they were misled and possibly even lied to as to the purpose and intent of the petition. Once the petition was submitted, the signatures were verified at the Board of Elections, and a referendum on the ordinance that the residents overwhelmingly told us to enact was required. However, our law department advised us in previous meetings that Ohio law allows for council to place on the agenda for a vote within 30 days of the petition being submitted, a vote to overturn our own ordinance and pass a new ordinance as an emergency measure to protect the health and safety of our residents, and that is not subject to referendum. Case law confirms that this process is legal. Our city officials are following the will of the overwhelming majority of our residents to allow bow hunting, and that is what we are doing tonight. Now, council will be open to the audience on legislation only. If you have any comments regarding anything on our agenda tonight, please approach the podium and state your name and address. We are going to ask that you be respectful of everybody's time, and if there is a spokesperson for the group that has notes on behalf of everybody, that'd be appreciated, just in the interest of time.
Lucy McKernan, 755 Hillside Road. I just want to clarify something from my own perspective. This ordinance does relate to our referendum. This ordinance is 108 and 109 are to effectively kill the referendum, which is to petition our government for redress. The original hunting ordinance will be killed with a new emergency ordinance to pass this evening. I just want to point out that it is true that before this went on to our ballots in March, all 6 law directors in all 6 communities were turned away from the Board of Elections because the language they presented was illegal. And it was told to them that they'd have to change the language and make it an advisory election, which is non-binding. That means that after the election results come back, It is not required but highly recommended by the Ohio Elections Commission that council or any any government put something back on the ballot again. We took it upon ourselves to do what the city did not do. So we went out and we got 607 valid signatures, over 30% more than required. We were subjected to all manner of harassment, intimidation, and allegations. All right. I also want to mention that one of these council people here, my ward council person, posted numerous times that hunting will happen this year. I don't know why you would have said that when the referendum was pending. It was misleading. That was misleading. We weren't. Okay. But as far as public safety goes, Mr. Traffus and the remainder of council and mayor, and I want to touch on real briefly, do I have 3 minutes or less? How much time do I have?
Go on.
Okay. So you said 66% of the registered voters voted for hunting.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I said 66% of the people that voted in favor.
Well, I have the actual numbers here. For Seven Hills, 4,720 people voted. Yes or no combined, 4,700 people out of 8,450. Okay, so a little more than half, maybe. Total population is 11,804. So the total population that voted was 25%. Okay. All right, previous year's deer vehicle crash statistics for Seven Hills, based on an analysis of individual reports, not total raw numbers, and Lyme disease statistics from our Board of Health for 2 years running. The public records crash data for all 6 southwest suburbs with bow hunting on the March 2016 ballot show 5 years plus no human fatalities or serious injuries. 95% plus of vehicular property damage was minimal. There's no threat to public safety. A second analysis was just conducted 5 days ago in Seven Hills, spanning 1 year, September 15 to September 2016, shows a huge reduction in the total number of deer vehicle crashes, not increase. Let me say it again. There's been a significant decrease in deer vehicle crashes in Seven Hills over the past year, and that trend is true for Cuyahoga County since 2009 when they spiked. Also, the highest number of deer harvested in Ohio. Deer run out in front of cars when they're being pursued by hunters. No human fatalities or injuries. 66 total raw reports, 38 were actual DVCs. The majority have occurred on East Pleasant Valley, almost exclusively between the I-77 corridor between 77 and Broadview Road during rush hour or in the dark or at dusk. Also on Rockside Road between Independence Business District and Broadview. These stretches include high volume of traffic from the highway, for which affordable road technology does exist. Streeter lights and deer deter. Worked on Som Center and Cannon roads in Solon with 100% effectiveness. A few more occurred on Broadview and a few on the side streets. 28 reports were erroneous. DVCs that did not occur in Seven Hills. DVCs are deer vehicle crashes. A late MVA where someone allegedly hit a deer and reported to the station later. Calls where no vehicles or deer were located, although I gave the benefit of the doubt if the dead deer was found in or near the road. Duplicate reports averaged 10 to 15% of all total 66 raw reports. One was a hit and run, the driver returning later to retrieve a dead deer, though no tag or permit process protocol was followed. This is very suspicious. Again, no human fatalities or injuries. Moderate to extremely minimal vehicular damage means no threat to public safety. There were only 2 moderate. 1 had to be towed. Ohio Department of Transportation, no human fatalities in Cuyahoga County for over 5 years related to deer vehicle crashes. Nationwide, human fatalities from deer vehicle crashes hold steady despite a robust and growing deer herd. Cuyahoga County Board of Health, no documented cases of Lyme disease last year, and again on September 26th last week of this year. Cuyahoga County Lyme disease statistics show there were only 3 cases acquired in Virginia and Pennsylvania, but not locally. So there's no Lyme disease confirmed in Cuyahoga County. There's no threat to public safety from deer vehicle crashes or Lyme disease. So let's get down to the nuts and bolts of this, the hostas and the tulips, the peace and the welfare. So what I'm trying to figure out, maybe you can help me with this, is how does allowing just lethal weapons in Seven Hills in our neighborhoods constitute peace and welfare? I cannot, for the life of me, wrap my mind around that. That is so convoluted. That is so screwed up. Okay, existing ordinances cannot reasonably apply to residents' peaceful enjoyment of ornamental landscaping. Welfare is defined as the most basic needs. One does not require ornamental or aesthetic landscaping or expenses related to the same for their welfare. Contrarily, many residents feel archery hunters shooting arrows is not safe and threatens peace, health, safety, and welfare. Our own Ohio Division of Wildlife, Jeffrey Westerfield, who covers this whole area, 19 counties, including Cuyahoga County, recommended 3 effective, affordable, non-lethal landscape deterrents for deer browsing when he visited several times here. All of the above prove that the emergency ordinances 108 and 109, which will kill our referendum to just put it back on the ballot, our constitutional right, which the Ohio Elections Commission, as I said, recommends that you should have done that anyway. Shame on you. Your ordinance is baseless. If you pass this ordinance tonight, we will be pursuing our legal options. Do you have any questions for me, Mr. Traffus?
No, thank you for your comments.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council, Stuart, Richard. My name is Carol Paladin. I reside at 3185 Sparrow Flight Drive. I want to first of all thank the 3 mayors and council attending October 1st meeting for the schools. It was most inspirational in the fact that 3 cities came together unified in a very positive fashion for our students, our kids. It was really mind-boggling. We could all learn from that. I would like to thank you for your resolution when it's amended for supporting the schools, especially the schools that are physically within our boundaries, that being Hillside Middle School and the one that most of our students go to, Normandy. They identify with it. I would like to speak to the amended 66 ordinance 108 and ordinance 109. It's a little concern. I'm a little nervous, so I wrote some thoughts down. Please forgive me. The process of rescind and replace for an original ordinance already passed by this council may be legal. Yet is it ethical if its sole intention is to deny the democratic process to Seven Hills voters, specifically killing a referendum petition certified by this county board of elections? I ask you to think about your vote tonight. In this amended or replacement ordinance, rather, I understand that non-residents will also be permitted to bow hunt deer within our boundaries. If this is correct, I'm distressed. The process of rescind and replace passed on first reading, declaring a non-disclosed, non-specific emergency, thereby circumventing any possible future possible referendum petition, also distresses me. To me, each of your decisions tonight is indicative as to whether or not you intend to represent the interest of Seven Hills residents or your own personal agendas, perhaps into the future. I will be watching to see what your decisions are tonight. I hate to think that going forward, the people that I most trusted and elected into your positions will take my vote away by passing on an undeclared emergency every ordinance that passes your desk. I am more concerned about the process tonight, and I ask you to please rethink your decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Robert Todd, 252 East Pleasant Valley. Matthew Seen, I know you best up there. I want to ask you, I always had the impression as we were going into this was 5 acres. How'd it go to 2 1/4?
The ad hoc deer committee had recommended 2 acres, and in order to run a more effective program, council had agreed with that. This ordinance number 109 will set the acreage at 2.25 acres.
You mentioned Lyme disease and attacks by deer. Now, I checked on these facts or statistics myself with Metro Health Medical Center, which holds the records for Cuyahoga County. No Lyme disease, maybe 2 suspected, not proven. We don't have ticks in Cuyahoga County like they do in Columbus. Different weather. But you might know that as well as I do because you spoke of it. No incidents of injuries entering county hospitals or health cares over deer attacks. And no statistics over animal attacks, but I think the coyotes are more fearful in that situation. So, but you guys knew that as well as I did. But you said it. See, that's what bothers me. Another thing, Parma schools. I graduated from Parma Senior in 1962. At that time, we had more students in high school than Parma City has today. I pay $6,000 a year with my properties in Seven Hills to the city of Parma schools. I come from a corporate world, think corporately, not politically, for school systems. So, you know, what's going to happen in Parma schools is going to happen because of money and amount of students. And when we face that and help Parma City schools do the best with what they have left, it will be best for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. But before we continue, just out of curiosity, how many people are here from Seven Hills? Excellent. Thank you for being here. Go on, Sharon.
Hi, 7134 Seven Hills Boulevard. My name is Sharon Dickey. Thank you so much for putting it on the ballot for voters to vote for. I am for the culling. I have had 2 major car accidents. One was serious, and I've seen my neighbor charged at by the deer when on my way home from work. And also, I want to know what is going to be done about the signatures that were illegally or falsely obtained for people to sign, because
my neighbors are right here. You can say they have
falsely taken their signatures to this, and that really bothers me as a resident of this city. I really feel like something should be done about that.
There is a process, we did look into this, and there is a process with the Ohio Elections Commission in which you can file complaints. The city, the council, our law department, our mayor has nothing to do with that. There's only one organization.
Because these people here were clearly lied to as to what they were signing. And I think getting signatures to obtain something that they want to do is illegal and definitely not moral, in my opinion.
Everybody on this dais received phone calls and emails from many residents. First of all, from the yellow postcard that everybody received, asking us why the city didn't act on the deer hunting ordinance. The purpose of the letter that we sent out a couple weeks later is to inform everybody that we did indeed follow through with what the residents wanted. Then this referendum petition came up. Many people felt misled, and that's
very much so
why we are here today.
Well, I appreciate it being put on the ballot. You cannot imagine what it's like to hit a deer, not once, but twice, and having severe injuries from that. And not only that, but seeing the neighbors feeding the deer. I'm here to tell every resident of this city, I will actively report you if I see you feeding the deer. I'm just letting you know right now.
Each and every one of you, I will report if I see it happen. I will.
we have recently been informed that if a resident takes a video of somebody feeding deer and turns it in and puts their name on it, they can be cited, correct, Law Director Pignatello?
I think that's what.
And that's great, because I have a neighbor across the street who feeds them. And every time I see her, she has a pattern of when she feeds, the time frame. And I've caught on to that. So I've actually called the police on her, but one policeman in general told her my address and who I was that called. Not that I care, but now she has changed her feeding times. And my neighbors here can attest to that as well, because I'm at work when she now feeds. So I'm telling every resident of this city, I will call on you every single time I see someone feeding the deer. And I mean it. And I mean it. I mean it.
Thank you. Well, thanks for allowing it to be put on the ballot.
For us, for safety reasons. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
Hi, my name's Jackie Wise. I live at 933 East Meadowlawn. I am for the culling as well. Maybe animal lover, whatever. I put my pets first and my family first, and you want to talk about a health risk, and I know you expounded all the statistics, and that's great, but Lyme disease isn't the only thing that's a problem. Both literally in the last 2 months, I have a fence. I don't feed the deer. I don't give a crap that they eat my hostas, whatever. So I don't care about my plants. But my dog got a bacterial eye infection from the deer in our yard, and I know it's because he rolled in crap, and I was trying to pick it up as quickly as possible, but they jumped my fence, and it happens, and it's a dog. My other dog just got a UTI from a bacterial infection, so I'm out hundreds of dollars, and not mention the safety of my pets. I care about them like family. I have many nieces and nephews. Many of my friends have kids. My neighbors do not put their kid in the grass. He's learning to walk. And I'm like, why don't they ever put him down? Because she calls it tick grass. Cool, he won't get Lyme disease. Maybe he still needs to go get a tick removed. And that's gross. I should be able to enjoy my yard, okay, so they can eat my plants or whatever. But still, if your kid gets a tick, and it's a health concern. This is my feeling, so I support council in this. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Jackie.
Jody Urbis, 6483 Tanglewood Lane.
Hi, Jody.
Hi. Two things I have for you. First, thank you, all of you who came to the school board meeting. Thank you for looking out for our children and our community. As a parent and as an educator, we need to do what's best for our children. Money aside, we can always find more money. We can't find education for our children. Number two, I come to you about the deer issue. I too support, like the lady in front of me, you putting the issue back on the ballot. Number one, signatures were obtained illegally from people who did not know any better of what you were asking. I was approached, met 2 times by my friend Lucy. Both times she swore up and down to me that it was to get the deer issue on the ballot. I argued with her at the rec center, and I argued with her at the farmer's market, all of which she was obviously looking for elderly people who did not know any better. Absolutely. And when she saw me, every single time when she saw me, her response was, "Oh, not you again." I have children. I have very small children. And today I spent an hour and a half picking up 5 pounds of deer scat. My children should not be playing in it. I should not be walking in it. I don't need to be mowing my yard in it. I do not need deer eating up my yard. I pay a lot of money to live where I live, and the deer do not belong in my yard. No, I do not put a fence up to keep animals out. I do like animals, but at a point, you have to stop them. And I agree with you. Whatever you plan to do, they obtained their signatures illegally. I say go for whatever you need to do. Do what the residents have asked you to do. Thank you.
One thing real quick before we continue. I noticed 2 people mentioned that if this passes, we're putting it back on the ballot. That's not the case. If 66 and 108 get defeated and 109 passes, and the mayor signs it, which he said he will, The permitting process begins tomorrow. So bow hunting will be legal tomorrow.
Thank you. Council, Mr. Mayor, it's nice to see you. This is actually my first meeting, so thanks for putting this on. I don't have fancy statistics or statewide numbers in any way of that sort of thing.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but for
I'm
the
sorry.
name and address.
Eric Tiskowski, 665 Hillside Road.
Thank you, Eric.
Yes. I'm just going to tell you what I've seen. I've been living where I've been living for 18 years in the same house that pretty much I grew up in. I've had multiple dogs. I have 2 right now. I had 1 previously. My previous dog, I actually did watch him get charged, and he did get trampled by a deer. So whatever they're talking about, that this doesn't happen, I saw it with my own eyes. So their numbers to me don't mean anything. Number 2, my 2 current dogs I've had to take both of them to the vet. Our older one I've had to take twice. Our younger one I had to take once because they were showing signs of being sick with something. So we had to take them to the vet. That cost money, of course. And we find out that they contracted bacterial infections, and I apologize, I don't know the name of them. But the vet that we go to said that the overwhelming reason why these infections come up is deer related, whether it's they step in their feces or if they eat their feces and I don't get to them in time, because it does happen. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm perfect. So that right there has a lot of significance because it's putting my dogs at risk for their health. And to be completely honest, I think that's absolutely unacceptable for something that can be amended. Number 2, I hunt. I've been hunting since I was a kid. And what they're talking about, deer being wounded and maliciously and intentionally tortured because of placing bad shots on these animals to put them down. I know many hunters, and I've never met one that does that intentionally, ever. Do accidents or do tragedies happen like that? Absolutely they do. You're not going to get 100% of clean kills, as they're called. I don't want to offend anybody by using the word kill, by the way, sorry. However, I have never seen a deer taken and harvested. I've never seen an animal run across the street in front of traffic and hit a car or any of that sort of thing. So where these numbers are coming from, I'm not entirely sure. And I just wanted to say thanks again for putting this meeting on, and I hope you guys make the right choice. Thanks.
Thank you, Eric.
Good evening. Joe Linway, 3051 Shady Lane. Been living in this city 50 years. And what I've seen coming home from part-time job, Northfield Park at night, I've seen guys with pickup truck. This is 2 years ago. I made a police report about it. They didn't use bows. They used a gun. Shot deer right at the corner of our street at Seven Hills Boulevard. They threw the deer in the back of a pickup truck, took off without their lights on. And what's going to happen? You all know when you drive down the street, you see the deer at night, they're always right along the street. You're going to see guys come in with bows. They're not going to have a license. They're going to be out at night. They're going to try to pick them off. You're going to have problems. And the police are going to have problems because there's cars parked all over. And if they miss a shot, it's going to hit a car, a house, or whatever. This is a city now. It's not a village. This is built up. You got to think twice about what you're doing. This is not Brunswick. This is not Medina. We don't have farms anymore. and I think you're gonna run into some problems. I think that's why, that's one of the things, nobody's against hunting 100%. That's why they sell the stuff in the sporting goods stores, and hunting is good, but this is a city. Years ago, there was no Nemeth Drive. The deer used to be right behind the mayor's mother's home. And now they're pushed out, and they got nowhere else to go. I think the state could do something about it with contraceptive, and in a year or two, you'd see a big drop in everything. So just think about, you know, safety and that, because it's gonna bring in people from out of town, and people at night are gonna come running around with trucks. So nobody's gonna sit in a tree all the time and 10 feet off the ground. So that's all.
Thank you. I just want to mention that the safety factor is one of the biggest things that we've been looking at. And I know that the mayor has met with the police, I believe, about this, as has city council. And just a week or so ago, the police chief asked one of our officers who is going to kind of be in charge of running this program to meet with me. And we talked for about an hour about the safety restrictions. And I am absolutely convinced that it's going to be as safe as possible. We will not be giving permits to every person that requires 2¼ acres. For example, the houses that are off of West 9th in the Ward 1 area, those are very small houses, very small lots. That would not be safe. It's going to be a case-by-case basis. And I can assure you that our police department is going to be very diligent in people's safety when they take into consideration these permits. Is there anybody further tonight?
Hi, I'm Beth Toot Levy, 3120 Parmalee, and this too is my first city council meeting.
Welcome.
I saw some insane things on Facebook today that made me feel that it was necessary to come out and support city council. As a resident, I, along with a lot of other people, voted to allow deer hunting, bow hunting in Seven Hills, and we put our faith in our city council to develop the rules on how that's going to be done. And so I just want to commend you for doing what people have asked. And on a personal note, I'm a runner. I run up and down the streets of Seven Hills a lot of evenings, not in the dark, but around dusk, and I've been charged twice. And so it's getting to the point where it's not, we talk about safety in terms of Lyme disease or car accidents and pets, and those things are important too, but there's other safety factors that have to be considered here too. As a runner, I've been charged twice. There was an occasion where I was trying to back my car out of the driveway, and there's a deer in the driveway that won't move. They're not afraid of us anymore. And so that's when it's becoming a problem. So I just want to thank you for your hard work.
Thank you for being here.
My name is Thomas Cordrick, 6491 Bayberry Drive. I've lived in Seven Hills for only 43 years. For the first 38 of them, I almost never saw a deer. And within the last couple of years, actually, there are many as 12 or 14 deer in my yard at the same time. They can't get in my backyard, but they can get in my front yard. And I do take pride in my landscaping, and it really kills me when I price a hosta. Go to Petiti's and try to buy a hosta, and it's an arm and a leg. And it's just discouraging to see that. And also, it's not going to be sustainable. The more they grow in numbers, there's not enough food for them. The metro parks have a serious problem. There's no underbrush anymore. They've cleared out that. That means that our forests and it's in jeopardy. And I'm a walker. I don't run, but I'm leery of going out, especially early in the morning, because I've been approached by deer, and I'm concerned. So I do think, and I do support council, and I do also think that if you gathered votes illegally, you should be put in jail.
Diane Smith, 2267 Chestnut Road.
First of all, just bow hunting to me is extremely cruel. I mean, none of us would want an arrow through us. Those animals have got to be in sheer agony. I agree with Mr. Linway that, can we look into contraception or something that's more humane if we feel that the deer is such a problem? And it's kind of funny because in my yard, sometimes I'll have like 5 or 6 deer in the front yard and I'll be going out the front door. I've never been charged. They just stand there and look at me. And if anything, they'll run away. And when my brother came to visit from Indiana, he brought his 9-pound poodle and they ran from the poodle. So all of this attacks and charging, I don't know, it hasn't been my experience that I've ever been attacked or charged, and believe me, they like to congregate in my yard. So I'm also very concerned about the safety issue, that it was changed from 5 acres to 2, that was decided on. As Mr. Linway said, it's very, this is a city. I mean, that's unsafe. What if somebody's dog gets hit or a person, or that's not going to be good. So I would just ask council to really consider all sides and consider the safety too of bow hunting. And honestly, I don't know how we could lay our heads down at night on a pillow knowing that animals are suffering in agony with an arrow in them. Hey, thank you.
Thank you very much. Go ahead. It's okay. We're letting everybody speak.
Well, you've heard all the.
Please state your name and address, though, for the record.
My name is Itis, 9857 Silverleaf Drive, North Royalton. We heard the pros and cons of both sides. So why doesn't 7 communities that have gotten together for bow hunting come up with other options? You guys spend millions and millions on worthless projects. You can do something that will be good for both for and against the deer hunting. And as far as people hitting deers, I mean, I believe they're speeders. Our own councilman brags he killed 3 deers because he was speeding. I mean,
He's up to 6.
6, okay. I mean, we've seen a deer get killed in our front yard by a speeder. I think it's people who are texting, not watching. I think we've been living in the city for 20 years. I've never hit a deer. I walk the dog all times of night, never got charged by a deer. I think the 7 communities should get together and do something for the pro and con.
Thank you.
Tom Jarvis, 224 Crescent Ridge Drive. Hi, guys. Good to see you. I should probably be talking to the people out here more than anything else. I know the history on this thing. You guys right now are going to be vilified for whatever you do. I know this started 2 years ago with the previous council, and they didn't act on it because it was such a controversial issue. They were afraid they were going to lose votes by it. So this problem's been coming for a long, long time. These guys are doing what the voters are telling them to do at this point in time, and they really shouldn't have been faced with this at all. It just languished because people were worried about getting reelected. My main issue, I know Lucy. I respect Lucy. Lucy's an intelligent person. She's not crazy. There was a lot of stuff. Yeah, Lucy, that's my opinion. And Lucy was entitled to hers, I'm entitled to mine. I talked to Lucy about this a lot. I signed Lucy's petition. I signed Lucy's petition because I believe in a democratic process. We're supposed to be able to do this. We're supposed to be able to circulate petitions. This comes from the First Amendment. We're supposed to be able to do that unfettered, like stuff like residency requirements is one of the issues you guys got coming, which is just dumb. But the biggest burden when you handed a petition is that you not listen to the person that hands you the petition, but you actually read to see what you're signing.
That's right, yeah.
Now, Lucy, because Lucy and I know and understand each other, I signed her petition. because I thought it was her right to circulate it. At the same time I signed it, I told her I wouldn't vote for it. I wouldn't vote to stop the culling. And my reason is really simple. I came, I might be the winner of this, I came to Seven Hills 57 years ago. My mother was lucky enough to be a stay-at-home mom. She got to watch her kids. She got to watch her grandkids enjoy her yard. She can do that for her great-grandkids. What the hell's the matter with me? Anybody got a drink? It's a great joy to sit in her kitchen and look out and see the kids play. She can do it because it's full of deer, it's full of deer crap. She's 96 years old, just got a heart valve. She's supposed to be dead 3 years ago. She's a stubborn little Pollock that won't die. Big joy was go out in the yard, even with the walker, and walk out there and just look at her flowers. She used to plant tulips all the time. Had to stop doing that because the deer ate them. And she loves Bambi. She doesn't want to hurt Bambi either. But now it's down to where she can't enjoy watching her grandkids play in her own yard. It's screwed up. You got to do whatever you got to do. It's been delayed a couple of years because of political horse shit. And it just needs to stop now. And you guys need to do something now.
We are.
It's already too late. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Anybody further?
My name's John Riley, I live at 6321 Crossview. You stated this culling is going to start tonight, right? Midnight tonight?
If the legislation is passed and the mayor signs it tonight, which is...
What I'd like to know is, when is it going to end? And how many deer are going to be victims of this?
We are going to...
All of them?
If I may.
Yes.
Thank you. First of all, to answer your first question, if it's passed tonight and the mayor signs it tonight, the permitting process can begin tomorrow, meaning people can go to the police department and get the application to begin. After this season ends, we are going to reassess what has worked and what hasn't worked. And that's the best I can tell you right now.
So it could continue indefinitely?
It could.
And how many deer are going to be victims? All of them? Or just, do you have any number in hand? Do you know how many deer are out there running around?
I believe there is a certain number that you are permitted to cull. If anybody could expound on that, I would appreciate it. Four?
At the end of the Ohio hunting season, you are allowed 4 deer in this zone in Ohio. 1 antler or 4 non-antler.
Thank you, Ed.
Per hunter?
Yes.
And the hunters are going to be non-residents of Seven Hills, some of them, right?
First of all, it could be either. You could be a resident or a non-resident. But if you're a non-resident, you have to have permission from a homeowner that acquires 2¼ acres.
Okay. And this is all under the control of the police. Like, they don't have anything else to do except troop to the woods looking for poachers and bow hunters, right?
That's not what they'll be doing.
Really?
Okay. They will be out checking the tree stand, checking to see if it's located in the proper place. If it's not, they'll advise where to put it. They're not going to be running through the woods looking for hunters.
All right.
And there's one officer that is designated to implement this.
Jill Walker, 5167 Haverford, Lyndhurst. I want to say it's never all right to kill. It is not all right to kill. And all you people who want to watch your pretty gardens, and you want to do your jogging.
Ma'am, you're addressing city council right now.
Okay, all the people who want to watch their pretty gardens and sit around drinking their cup of coffee and looking at their hostas, and all the people who are running, and all the people who are claiming bad things that the deer are doing, there are other things that are causing things too. And I will say that what happened to the compassion of human beings? Is it gone? Is it completely gone?
Guys, excuse me, ma'am. Lucy, please.
I just
I'm
want to
sorry.
know, where is the compassion? All of you people sitting up here, and all the people in the audience. And it isn't funny, it's not funny. This is death, it's murder. It's murder. And
Thank
you're
you.
all accomplices.
Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Reg Pageant, and I live at 267 Mapleview Drive. I was looking over the ordinance here. What assurance do I have if my neighbor wants to start using a bow and arrow and I have people in the yard? What assurance do I have? Well, how can I stop it? Is there any way I can object to this?
You certainly do not have to allow a neighbor to add your property on for the acreage requirement. If they come
I
onto your,
didn't mean mine, I meant my abutting, the neighbor
if-
abuts me.
may I please finish?
Yes.
If somebody comes onto your yard without your permission, that is trespassing, and you can call the police and they will act appropriately.
I'm not talking about trespassing. I'm talking about the arrows coming over in my yard when I have children out there playing with frisbees and a dog. I've been here 56 years. What objection can I have? If the white fellow wants to put up a fence, I can go to a Board of Appeals or the zoning board, but I have no choice with this. He can do it. I can be out with a threat all the time with somebody shooting arrows over.
The police are going to make sure that the stands are in the appropriate place to make sure that will not happen.
Right. Also, it says in here, the hunter promises not to have alcohol 8 hours before. Is there any check to sure that he's not on some other kind of high when he comes around? No assurance at all. And let's see if there's a few more things. Were all these deliberations and meetings held by council open to the public?
Yes.
To hear and discuss the possible action to taken by council in the event a referendum was approved by the Board of Elections?
All meetings were open to the public.
This was all discussed.
All
What would take place in case there was a referendum?
All meetings were held in the public and anybody was allowed to attend.
The ordinance was signed August 8th, based on a nuisance abatement. What occurred the last 56 days to now declare an emergency abatement? Was council afraid of a public vote?
We held a public vote. It passed overwhelmingly, and council is acting on what our residents told us to do.
Why no public ballot?
There was a public ballot this past primary. 66% of voters told us to enact bow hunting.
That was a non-binding ballot.
They told us what they wanted. This city council and mayor is following through with what our residents want.
Actually, this goes beyond the deer issue. It's council using the emergency declaration excuse to exercise overriding control over the public wishes and their right to vote on a legally approved referendum.
Joseph Linway Jr., 3051 Shady Lane.
Hi, Joe.
I look at you guys. We're all community. We're all neighbors. Some of us worship together on Sundays. Some of us went to school together. We're a tight-knit community. And This isn't murder to the deer as much to me as it is murder to the Constitution. I believe in the Constitution, the United States of America. That's what we all stand for, and that's why we're all here today, because of that Constitution. Signatures are important. Some of you needed our signatures about a year ago to get on the ballot. And as residents of the city, we all, a lot of us gave you our signatures. A year later, and you know, I would never sign anything that I've never read. I hope that none of you sitting there would ever sign anything you've never read. That's nuts. Please don't take our signatures constitutionally and do what, with all due respect to this room, council, the room that my grandma and grandpa actually served in, they were on the council here in Seven Hills, very proud of that. Don't take our signatures, and I can't say what you want to do with them, in all due respect to this room. It's very important, the Constitution and our signatures. And some of you didn't win that election by many votes. I think by doing the right thing, you can solidify your seat again next year here. I believed in you guys. That's why you're here. A lot of us believed in you. That's why you're here. And we still believe in you. Just please do the right thing. Please reconsider, or at least consider every angle. My one question, do you guys know off the top of your head how big of an acre is 1 acre? Just curious, please.
I'm a licensed surveyor, 43560 square feet.
Beautiful. So how big is 5 acres?
I'm bad at arithmetic.
Okay. We took something which we all knew was going to be on the ballot, 5 acres. We all knew that. 1,000 by 2,000 feet is roughly 5 acres. You guys chopped it down to 450 by 900 feet. That's a little more, that's concerning to me. It's a safety issue. It's a Constitution issue. The emergency behind it is to take our signatures and rip them up. That's the only emergency behind it. Our law enforcement shouldn't be dealing with this because there's cars getting broken into at night. There's houses being broken into in our community that we all love. There's some issues. 450 by 900, that's tight. 1,000 by 2,000 is what passed. Thank you very much for your time.
Ed McKenna, 1980 Ridgeview. I'd like to address what that gentleman just said, and Mr. Traffus made it pretty clear. You know, you say you should read what you signed, maybe you should read what you voted on, because there was nothing on there saying 5 acres. You did not vote on 5 acres. You voted on a recommendation. It never said 5 acres. I'm part of the ones responsible for the 2 acres. People have asked, how did we get there? I was the head of the ad hoc deer committee. We went to Independence and talked to them, who have been using 2 acres since 2007 and culling their deer there, a city that is in many ways more our sister city in appearance than Parma is. The lots are the same size, all of that. They have had 0 accidents. They have had 0 problems. We mirrored pretty much what Independence has successfully done. I didn't plan on talking, but I'm hearing so many things that we had looked into being distorted. It's nice to say there's been no, Lyme disease in Cuyahoga County if you go to the Cuyahoga County Board of Health. But if you go to the Center for Disease Control, who nationally tracks it, there were 6 cases in 2014, and that's a fact. Look it up. You can say there's no car accidents in this city. And you say that accidents have held steady nationally, but you don't say that that is 200 people a year in the United States, per the CDC, dying in deer vehicle collisions. You say that hunting is a risk. Hunting accidents account for 99 people last year dying. Okay? But you got 200 people pretty steadily dying in deer vehicle accidents. In the spring in Geauga County, man on a motorcycle, wham, right into a deer. He wasn't speeding, they ran out in front of him. People say there's no bacteria. I'm not a deer research scientist. I am a food scientist, and it falls into my realm when I look it up. And what's the bacteria causing it? It's Clostridium perfringens. We deal that in food all the time. It's a digestive bacteria in deer, and I'll bore you, it forms endospores, which means that that bacteria can sit in the soil for months and months, and your kid goes out and touches it. That's what causes Acidophilus, Lucy and Lane. When you say don't feed the deer in the winter, it's because the corn causes a carbohydrate bloom that boosts up the perfringens and kills them in 2 days. And they're pooping that bacteria into our yards. They have charged people. They do this. But the number one reason, also the gentleman talking about 2 years ago, seeing these guys driving up in a truck at night and shooting. Well, you know what? You pass this, that's still illegal. That's called poaching. That's called discharging a firearm in the city. You have people saying we're going to have non-residents hunting. How many people here are not residents of Seven Hills? They came here to tell us what to do, but we're going to worry about non-resident hunters that can only hunt on our property if we grant them permission. But we now have non-residents telling you guys how to do something that was already voted on. We hear about how 8,000 people were registered voters, but if you look at the last mayoral election, you will find that 120 more people voted in the deer election than voted in the last mayoral election. You always have more registered voters than you do participants. But the number one reason that I'm up here to talk is you already know, people already voted. You know, you're not taking away all these people, you're taking away their will because 600 of them, maybe a lot less with the people who were misled per themselves, voted for this. And we have people that are worried about taking away the rights of these 500 people, but they're not crying a tear about taking away the rights of the 3,030 people that voted for this. This has been going on long enough. Thank you for doing the right thing. And just an aside, for anybody who doesn't know, North Royalton started the hunting last Saturday, not this one. They've taken out 31 deer. Not a single person has been hurt in North Royalton.
Okay, if there's nobody further, we're going to move on with the next part of our agenda.
Mr. President,
Councilman Biassiata.
I'm not 100% sure we can do this, so it's a question, sorry. Can we go into executive for potential litigation?
Yes.
I motion to go in an executive session for potential litigation.
I'll make that second. We'll take a roll call. Carol?
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor. Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Okay, we are going to step into the other room for executive session, meaning it's a closed meeting to the public. It's regarding potential litigation. As soon as we're done in there, we're going to come back out here and take a vote on the ordinance that are in front of us today. We'll be back as soon as we can.
If you would take responsibility, you could shut it off. You know what, let it run for like 5 minutes, let's see if they come back right away. If they come back right away. Yeah. If they're gonna be. Shut it off. They'll wait if it's not done. It's okay?
Trying to make room for people to walk by. Stay all
It's okay. Recording again if you want making a motion to make a motion
Okay, sorry about that, everybody. We're going to reconvene our council meeting. We're going to move on to ordinances and resolutions. We'll start with amended ordinance number 66, 2016.
Mr. President,
Councilman Kranek.
I move that we read amended ordinance number 66, 2016 by title only.
I second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Amended ordinance number 66, 2016, introduced by Mayor Delaquila and Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Bicker, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance to amend section 505.11, hunting prohibited, as contained in chapter 505, animals and fowl of part 5, general offenses code of the codified ordinances of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, for the purpose of authorizing a nuisance abatement initiative for both short-term and long-term control and reduction of the white-tailed deer population in coordination with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources and contiguous adjoining political subdivisions that opt to adopt a similar plan for nuisance abatement.
Amended ordinance number 66, 2016 has been read for its final reading. Is there a motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Kranek.
I move that we pass amended ordinance number 66, 2016.
Is there any discussion?
I
Please.
second it.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
No.
Frondor.
No.
Kranek.
No.
Kukrow.
No.
Petro.
No.
Traffus.
No.
Bicker.
No.
Amended ordinance number 66, 2016 has been repealed. We will now have the first reading of ordinance first and final reading of ordinance number 108, 2016.
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilman Frondorf.
I move the council suspends the rules under the charter and reads ordinance number 108, 2016 by title only for its final reading.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 108, 2016, introduced by Mayor Delaquila and Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Bicker, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance to amend Chapter 505, Animals and Fowl of Part 5, General Offenses Code of the codified ordinances of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, for the purpose of repealing Section 505.11, hunting prohibited, and declaring an emergency.
Ordinance number 108, 2016 has been read for its first and final reading. Is there a motion?
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilman Frondor.
I move that we pass ordinance number 108, 2016.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
No.
Frondor.
No.
Kranek.
No.
Kukrow.
No.
Petro.
No.
Traffus.
No.
Bicker.
No.
Ordinance number 108, 2016 has been defeated. We will now have the first and final reading of ordinance number 109, 2016.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Petro.
I move that council suspends the rules under the charter and reads ordinance 109 by title, 109, 2016 by title only for its final reading.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 109, 2016, introduced by Mayor Delaquila and Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Bicker, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance to amend Section 505.11, hunting prohibited, as contained in Chapter 505, Animals and Fowl of Part 5, General Offenses Code of the codified ordinances of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, for the purpose of authorizing a nuisance abatement initiative for both short-term and long-term control and reduction of the white-tailed deer population in coordination with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources and contiguous adjoining political subdivisions that opt to adopt a similar plan for nuisance abatement and declaring an emergency.
Ordinance number 109, 2016 has been read for its first and final reading. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Petro.
I move that council passes ordinance 109, 2016.
I second.
Is there any discussion? Just a reminder to everybody, if this ordinance passes and the mayor signs it right after this meeting, deer hunting, bow hunting of deer will be legal.
Mr. President,
Councilman Kranek.
I'd like to add something to this that was sent to me by a resident, and I'd like to be put into the records as the Secretary of Council. If she please include this as part of the minutes of the meeting. This was sent to me by a resident. He specifically requested that I read this. It is listed as activist is active in Seven Hills. It appears that Lucy McCormick is smarter than the voters and officials that put the deer hunting ordinance together. Lucy wants to repeal this ordinance and not allow bow hunting in Seven Hills. Last summer on a Sunday afternoon on Eastburg Road, suddenly a deer jumped our car and landed in the passenger windshield. Caused the windshield to shatter and bowing and showered the passengers with glass chips, cutting their arms and legs. Had the window broken completely, the deer would have been in her lap, thrashing around, causing both of us serious injury. The accident ended up costing us $2,700, and our car insurance was increased by $300. Besides causing bodily harm, we all know the damage deer cause to our flowers and shrubs. So folks, if you want to risk your life and your families when your car insurance increases and when your landscaping is destroyed, go ahead and vote with Lucy. I have a solution. Lucy, you buy a 200-acre farm. We will help you round up the deer and drive them to your place where you and Bambi can enjoy life hereafter, and so will we. He requested that I include his name on this. His name is Harold Ehrlich on Vesber Drive, and I submit this to Carol. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Is there any further discussion? Lucy, please. Lucy. Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Ordinance number 109, 2016 has passed, and upon the mayor's signature, hunting of deer will be legal. Okay, we have one last item, and if I may ask everybody to stick around for about 5 more minutes, I would like to discuss something real quickly. Finally, resolution number 56, 2016.
Mr. President,
Councilman Kukrow.
I motion that we remove the emergency clause on resolution number 56, 2016.
I second that.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
The emergency clause has been removed from resolution number 56, 2016. Yeah.
Amended resolution number 56, 2016, introduced by Mayor Delacuilla and Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Kranek, Bicker, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. A resolution of encouragement and support to retain Normandy High School as an operating high school and to maintain Hillside Middle School as a functioning school within the Parma City School District.
Thank you, Carol. Resolution number 56, 2016 has been read for its first reading. Okay, I have a statement that I would like to read regarding some upcoming issues on the November ballot. Before we do that, it is on the agenda to open it up to the audience again. If there's anything on anybody's mind, please approach the podium and state your name and address.
My name is Bob Bader. I live at 909 Nemeth. I've been a resident for 16 years. I've been a state juvenile correction officer for 30. Very dissatisfied since I moved into the city. I've been through 3 mayors, many council people. You all on the council are aware of my plight. I live in an area where I live on Nemeth, and Nemeth goes into twilight and it goes down. Since '03, I've been filing complaints over and over. And Mr. Morrow, I wish he was here because this is directed to the building department and not the engineering department. I was almost arrested in 2006. I got ticketed for trespassing and criminal damaging and menacing for removing debris next to my fence that was put on there by the neighbor and the neighbor behind me. Kept going back to the building department. He sent me to the engineer department. Go to the engineer department, back to the building department. Went to the police department. Lieutenant got smart with me. He was smart with me. I put my pants on the same way. I don't care. Okay? So the problem is, give Mr. Bader a ticket, it'll go away. Well, here we are, 13 years later. Okay, I still have the same issue. Okay, I spent over $1,000, talked to all these councilmen in my yard. In 2006, I had the whole council in my yard. Your fence is 2 inches this isn't right, that's not right. Had a survey done by Fulltech, City Engineer Department, 2003. States clearly that the ponding in my yard is being caused by debris from my neighbor behind me and to the west and east of me and north, okay? Real cut and dry. But look at me, do I look like a correctional officer to you? Should I wear a tie so you treat me different? Okay? I don't know what I have to do. The mayor is out of the loop. I caught the mayor with my wife. We caught him up at the store, talked to him. He put out an email, okay, over 6 months ago. What's going on? Let's get this done. I go to city council. Hey, I can't do nothing. The mayor's in charge. The mayor says no. He runs everything. I go to the mayor. He's like, I've told him to do this. What's going on? I go to Ed. He sends me to the engineering department.
Mr. Bader, as Jim and Kukrow and I were in your backyard, we talked to you about this, and then I also, with Frank Petro, talked to you at Hillside at a prior election. We all advise you to come to a public works committee meeting so we can try to help you. That meeting is going to start very shortly, and if we can get into that.
I would like just my moment to speak. Because it's
of course,
13 years,
I'm not
okay.
trying to cut you off. I'm just trying to help you and let you know where we can have.
Well, if you're really going to help me 13 years ago, you got to help me. Your father got it done. But wait, okay, I just want to say something, and then I'll step away. Okay. The engineering department, this gentleman here, he was one of the inspectors back in 2006 that said, "Hey, what's going on?" So apparently, with the new engineering department, okay, I'm trying to figure out why I can't get a simple ordinance after 16 years. Okay, the mayor asked the departments. I have the email. Okay, I can't keep pestering him because if I do, I'm afraid I'll get arrested again. Not because of the mayor, because of Mr. Morrow.
I understand what that's like.
So I went to him. He's looking at me like, he's looking at me Friday. We went up there and he's like going, Mr. Bader, Mr. Morrow is blocking it. So two engineering departments separate say that this is the way it goes. It's in the landscape. It's in the geographic map. Okay. The mayor asked for a resolution of this, and you know what? It's real transparent because.
Well, I'm very glad you're here, and we definitely can talk and try to figure out how we can fix this. But this is not the form in which we can do that. We can do that in the room behind us in about 20 or 30 minutes. If you're able to stick around, please do so.
Well, I've been sticking around for 16 years.
So 20 minutes will be okay. Thank you. Is there anybody further? Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to such other business as may come before council. Since we have a lot of residents here tonight, I appreciate you staying, and I want to take a quick opportunity to discuss some things you may have been reading about or hearing about regarding the upcoming issues on the ballot this November. Just so you know, if the two levies that are on the ballot don't pass, the fire levy and the income tax levy, in 2017, we're going to have a projected deficit of $1,533,000. About $1 million of that is the normal deficit, which we're trying to chip away at, and $533,000 would be from the fire levy, because we're not putting a renewal on the ballot, but a new money levy. Issue 92, which is our income tax levy, would generate approximately $600,000 a year to Seven Hills. Now, I want to explain it real quickly. Long story short, our income tax rate is 2%, and we're proposing that we increase that to 2.5%, but also increasing the credit that we give residents. Right now it's at 1.1. We would increase that to 1.65. What that means is, first of all, if you're retired and you don't work, you don't receive W-2 wages, it doesn't affect you at all. Social Security and pensions and investments are not taxable for income tax. So if you're not receiving W-2 wages, this is a no-brainer. It brings money into the city and you don't pay another dime. If you live in Seven Hills but work in most any other community in Northeast Ohio, you would actually be receiving a 5.5% decrease in the income tax you pay. The only downside about this is if you live in Seven Hills and work in Seven Hills, you would receive an increase. According to RETA, the Regional Income Tax Agency, based on the average W-2 in 2014, I believe, that increase averages out to about $35 to $85 a year. Now, the fire levy is different. That is a property tax. Currently, the fire department costs us about $1.6 million a year to run. The existing renewal levy is expiring. That only brought in a little bit over $500,000 a year. We've been supplementing from our general fund to pay for our fire department, of which approximately 80% of the cost of the fire department is salaries and benefits. Now, there's a little bit of confusion out there about what issue 93 is. The fire department circulated a petition to attempt to change our charter. Our charter is like our Constitution. Whatever in our charter, we have to abide by, period. The charter amendment would require the city to staff our fire department on all 3 shifts, 24/7, every day of the year, with 5 guys. Now, that's fine. Everybody up here agrees with that. But their charter amendment has no mechanism of funding. Given our current financial situation, we don't think that changing our charter is the prudent idea. We don't know what's going to happen in Seven Hills in 5 years or 10 years or even 50 years. Maybe we have a significant population decrease and we don't need 5 guys 24/7. This council passed a resolution that said if the fire levy passes, we will commit to having 5 guys on all 3 shifts every day of the year. I am strongly encouraging people to vote against the fire department charter change. It is not the right thing for Seven Hills. It can really hurt us long term. Now, I want to throw out a couple numbers just so everybody is aware of how significant our financial problems are right now. If both the income tax initiative and the fire levy fail, we will have a deficit of $1,533,000 next year that we need to make up. In order to balance our budget, it would require about a 17% decrease to every department across the board. Now, if issue 93, the charter change, passes, the percent of reduction to all departments except the fire department will be significantly more. I feel a safe number would be about 20% reduction across the board except for fire. That includes our police, our service, our recreation center, our community services department, everything except fire. Now, if the income tax levy passes, the deficit would be $933,000, which would be the 1.533 million minus the 600. And we would have to reduce our budget by approximately 10% across the board. Now, I know this is getting a little complicated, but it's very important. If the fire levy passes, we would actually have a surplus of about $67,000. And there wouldn't need to be a reduction from the general fund. Now, here's the thing. Everybody is upset about the condition of our streets. I'm sure many of you are. I am. Everybody on council and the mayor are not pleased with the lack of road programs. If both the income tax levy and the fire levy pass, we're going to have close to a $700,000 surplus, which gives us the ability to start getting back to infrastructure projects. We'll have money to fix our roads and other things. Now, I know that the year is quickly coming to an end, and there should be an immediate effort to forecast our expense reductions to each department just so we can prepare. These forecasts, Mr. Mayor, should be at the 10%, 15%, and even 20% levels versus the 2016 appropriations. In addition, all departments except the fire department should perform a forecast on their own at around the 20% level, just so we can be prepared for worst case scenario. I think that the finance director and all others involved need to begin evaluating and thinking through this theory. Now, finally, I'll stop at this just with one last thing. This is simply an idea and a proposal. The numbers are accurate, but this is a working document. There's normal planning and management things that need to happen. And again, this is all subject to change. It's certainly not scare tactics to our residents that we're going to cut everything across the board, but reality states that if we want a balanced budget and we don't bring in additional revenues, we have to cut, and we have to cut significantly. And I'm going to reiterate, it's going to hit every department except the fire if their charter change passes. So with year end quickly approaching, it's time to get serious about the 2017 budget. One way or another, this council is committed to having a balanced budget next year. I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope you're pleased with what we did with the deer. And please continue coming to meetings, because this is the only way that our city will be successful. Further comment, Councilman Frondor.
Yes, I'd like to add to what Council President Traffus just said. One of the, and before I became a councilman, I was following, like you, sitting in the audience and following the process that council follows when it comes to budgets. And always the budget was finally approved in March. And by law, it has to be submitted to the state by the end of March. Well, by the end of March, we've already lost a quarter. As chairman of the Finance Committee, I will be calling budget hearings on Saturday, December 3rd, and I will be, I'll send an email to the mayor outlining, when, where, and what our expectations are. Then on Friday, January 6th, I anticipate, it's targeted, we will have a budget acceptance by council. So in that intervening month between December and January, we'll be able to fine tune, clarify any issues. There are always issues that come up, questions that come up. Those will be answered. The reason that I'm calling this meeting on Saturday, December 3rd is because of the November 8th ballot initiatives, the election day. That'll give all the departments at least a month to review their budgets. We'll know where we stand. We'll know what has passed, what hasn't, and we'll know in what, definitively in what financial shape the city is in. So I would expect that by December 3rd, we will have from all of the departments within the city their assessment of what they need based on the outcome of the election on November 8th. And again, I'll say that the budget will be finalized one way or the other on Friday, January 6th.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Petro.
I have
No comments?
no comments.
Thank you. Councilman Kukrow?
No comments.
Councilman Kranek?
No comments.
Councilman Bicker?
No comments.
Councilman Biassiata?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief. Thank you to everybody that came out on both sides of the issues today. It's democracy in action. I want to add, I'm going to soon propose a resolution that'll be in addition to the deer abatement one that was passed unanimously today. That'll talk also about non-lethal, how we can protect gardens, landscapes, tree rubbing, deer vehicle accidents, aggressive deer behavior, artificially feeding deer, and orphan fawns. All this is what other cities done, and will come at minimal or no cost to the taxpayer, but will help educate the community on how to avoid some of the deer nuisance behavior that they so dislike. I also thank all those that came to the three-mayor meeting. I thought it was productive, and thank my fellow councilmen who attended. That's all. Mr.
Thank you,
President.
Councilman. Councilman Frondor had one more thing.
I just wanted to say one last thing, and I had forgotten, and I apologize, but I would like to thank everyone for showing up today. This is what government is all about. It is to inform populace. That's what we're attempting to do here. We're trying our utmost to provide you with the information that you need as a resident to make the decision that you need to make as a resident.
Thank you for listening to us.
And I also wanted to say, thank you for your support. I sincerely, and I know this council does, we thank you for your support.
Thank you, Councilman. Before I move on to the mayor and the directors, I'm sorry, I have to add one more thing. There's been discussions, albeit brief discussions, and if we realize some more money and we get into a better financial position, we're considering spending a small amount to hire sharpshooters to help control the deer population. We're not committing to it, we're not saying it's happening, but it's being discussed. Directors, Law Director Pignatello. Service Director Stuart Levis.
No report.
Mayor Delaquila.
Thank you. Just very briefly, I do want to also indicate that I support the passage of issues 91 and 92. These would go a long way to helping our budgetary problems. The directors will in due course prepare their budget requests for council. Obviously, they're going to be requesting amounts in their budget that they feel are necessary to operate their departments efficiently and safely. We'll have, I'm sure, a lively discourse with council on an accelerated calendar, and we'll see where we are after November 8th. Hopefully, we can come to an accord. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. With that, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second that.
Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Bicker.
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned. We'll start our committee meeting in about 5 minutes.
I didn't see you. Hey, I got tickets to Thursday. My first day.
He's committed to do that.
When I find him, I'll give it to him.